BTB is no April Fool. I have in my hands the April specials, and man, jumping right off the page at me, Popper Dip Grilled Cheese. Check this out. This is a special for the month of April. Grilled sourdough grilled cheese. Grilled sourdough grilled cheese. You hear that? Jalapeno popper dip. Provolone and Swiss served with fries. Talk about heaven, man. Or they got the chicken cordon bleu quesadilla. Grilled chicken, ham, Swiss, Dijon mustard, mozzarella in a quesadilla. How good does that sound? It's amazing what they do. Or the peanut butter and fluff martini, screwball whiskey, Smirnoff marshmallow vodka, sweet cream, topped with fluff and peanut butter powder. They do it all at BTB, man. They do it all. And get ready for the championship game. BTB, not a bad seat in the house with 50 TVs in the mall at Grease Ridge.
Comedy at the Carlson. Ticket and show times at carlsoncomedy.com.
Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Route 96 in Victor, and online at victorcdjr.com. I'm driving around in a Ram Bighorn. I got to tell you, the interior of these are the most luxurious trucks I have ever driven. Eye-catching design, award-winning design. It's unbelievable. And your infotainment, the advances they use are fantastic. But here's the most important thing. Thoughtful safety and security features. Everything can be run right from the steering wheel. Turn up the volume, turn down the volume, push a button. You can make a call, just, announce it. Everything's voice activated. It is unbelievable. If you're running a business, if you're a foreman or you have a landscaping, you're going to want one of these trucks because you can come equipped with Wi-Fi. You could send your invoices out before you even leave the job itself. And I'm telling you, best in-class, max available hybrid towing capacity. I mean, almost 13,000 pounds. You're like 12.7. These trucks are unbelievable.
From the Mac of all trades studio in Fairport and driven by Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, it's Billified, the Bill Moran Podcast.
And in person on Route 96 in Victor. Hello and welcome. Thanks for getting your pod on. Thank you for telling a friend. That's how we spread the word about the pirate ship. Today, a guy who I only knew by voice for many, many, many years. I didn't even know his real name. He's just known as Mr. NFL. He's called every sports show that has ever existed in the greater Rochester area and probably beyond. Paul Adamo. Am I saying that right?
Yes, Bill, it's Paul Adamo.
Adamo is a great last name. That's like it almost sounds like a Greek statue.
Yeah, it's mispronounced as Adamo and Adamo.
So what is the Adamo? It's
actually Adamo, but
Adamo.
Yeah.
Oh, I said Adamo.
All right.
Well, I said it wrong. See?
I know. I don't even.
Adamo sounds so much more statuesque. You sound
really?
like the guy. Yes.
Okay.
So, Mr. NFL is a very interesting guy because you came in here the other day talking about your reunion with your high school buddies, and the high school you went to no longer exists in Rochester, correct?
No, it actually does exist. It's just a much, much smaller school.
Was it Kearney?
Bishop Kearney.
Oh, it was Kearney. My apologies. Kearney does exist. And they've done some interesting things over there with Golisano working on the curriculum and things like that.
Right. Mr. Golisano actually saved the school by buying the property, and then he's also poured in a lot of money for things like getting each student a laptop.
Yeah, right.
And I don't think they'd would exist now if it wasn't for him.
Yeah. Did your time there, but you had a lot to say when you came in the last time regarding the brothers and things, and the things that were overlooked and looked over there. And I don't know how comfortable you are mentioning that, but it was a lot of news over the years, what went on in the Catholic schools. I think even Death Cab by Cutie has a song, and more about the nuns, whacking my knuckles and telling me that fear was the basis of love and this sort of thing, which seems to be a little counterintuitive to what the world really is about.
Well, I go back 54 years to Bishop Kearney, 1970. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Bill. Yeah. 1970, I come from Long Island, Farmingdale. I went to 2 years of St. Dominic's in Oyster Bay, which is famous for one thing. Rick Pitino went there, played basketball, and is now involved in the St. John's program. He's the head coach.
Yeah, he was a legendary coach. He had been the president and the coach of the Celtics for a while. He had started, I think he took Rhode Island to a Final Four at one point. He was on the Syracuse coaching staff under Boeheim for a brief period, and then legendary with Kentucky and Louisville and all these different places.
He actually got started at the he played at Massachusetts, had a somewhat ambiguous career there, but then he wanted to get into coaching. He went to Hawaii. He was a assistant there, I believe, but his big break was when he went to Syracuse and became the lead recruiter, and that's what really made him brought him into the spotlight. He recruited, I believe, the Louie and Bowie show.
Really?
Yeah, both of them. And he became a top recruiter for Boeheim and spent years there until he was ready to become a head coach. He went to Providence.
That's right.
At the time he was at Providence, the three-point shot came into fashion. It was allowed, and it was created. And he took Billy Donovan, who had, overall minimal athletic ability. He was a good, solid guard, but he was a really exceptional shooter. And he highlighted and spotted him and
put him on the cover of the program as Billy the Kid, dressed him up as a cowboy and everything.
That's right. And that was the beginning of Pitino, what Pitino is. And when I was at St. Dominic's with him, I was 2 years younger, and he was a senior. I was a sophomore, and I watched him play, and he was all-grader. He was all league, Catholic League, and then he was all Long Island, which was a big deal. With the population there, if you're all Long Island, you're a big-time player. Anyway, he went on from Providence. He coached at Kentucky and Louisville, the Celtics, and the Knicks.
Yeah.
And he's won 2 national championships. So the one is, I think the one in Louisville
they beat Syracuse in the national championship.
That's right.
That was the year of what's his name from Greece?
John Wallace.
John Wallace's year. That was John Wallace's year. He lost the national championship to Kentucky.
That's right.
Yeah. How about that?
That's amazing. And he, he's been a lot of different places, and his calling card is developing players, finding the talent in an individual player and taking that talent and developing whatever it is, ability to drive, ability to shoot, defensively, whatever.
Yeah. So go back to, I didn't realize, you came here your junior year?
Yeah, my
That's
junior
a tough
year.
time to transition in as a kid.
Yeah, it was very difficult. I didn't want to come here. I had a girlfriend. I was doing things, obviously. I was playing football and basketball and baseball at St. Dominic's, and I was settled in. My brother had gone there. He had graduated. My father got a job at Xerox.
What was your dad doing in Long Island?
He was working as a consultant. He had his own business.
Okay.
And then he thought the opportunity with Xerox, he was consulting traffic manager, transportation of products.
Okay. And so he decided that this would be a better move.
Right.
Yeah. And so you kind of get swept up in that.
Right. And I didn't want to come here. Obviously, it was culture shock. When I came to Fairport, it was a one stop. It was a one.
From Long Island to Fairport with one stoplight.
Right. That's what I wanted to say. And there was nothing here. And my father loved it because he was tired of driving from Farmingdale to New York City.
And that was what, an hour and a half?
Yeah.
It was like a 90-minute ride.
Yeah,
in traffic, 2 hours.
Right. In the winter, it just was terrible.
Yeah.
So he got very tired and very worn out, and he decided he wanted to make a move.
Yeah. And so you came here, and then you go to Bishop Kearney.
Right.
But a lot of things, you talked about a lot of things that went on there. Are you comfortable saying some of that now or
Sure,
no?
because I'll tell you why. Because with all the information that has come out,
yes,
especially since they passed the the victims' abuse law during Cuomo's administration, allowing it to be retroactive, go back. You can go back whenever it happened and bring a case now against the diocese or against the grammar school or against any Catholic entity.
Mm-hmm.
So my school was very much involved, as was all the Catholic high schools, all the Catholic grammar schools, all the nuns, the brothers, and the priests.
Yeah. So, and a lot of the moving around, the abuse. But you know what? What's not highlighted a lot in the abuse of? We talk about the sexual abuse, but what about the physical stuff? Was there like hitting and?
I came from St. Dominic's, which was totally different. It was very well disciplined.
Yes.
It was a much smaller school.
Okay.
Of only 300.
Okay.
And Bishop Kearney was 13 or 1,200.
Right.
And we had a very big graduating class when I graduated. And the guys I met had gone to school together at St. Monica.
Sure.
They started in the neighborhoods around Bishop Kearney on Kings Highway, Titus Avenue, that area. And they knew each other very well. And I came in, didn't know anybody. I lived in Fairport, which made it even more difficult.
Yeah, but that's so long. You're on the other side of the city.
Yeah, it was funny because my father, we'd get up at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. They didn't have a transportation they have now, so he had to drive me to Penfield High School, drop me off.
Yeah.
A bus came and picked up 4 of us.
Yeah.
And then took us to Mercy, and then Mercy to Bishop Kearney.
Yeah. Well, Mercy, you get to see some of the ladies then.
We got to see some ladies.
Highlight of the day.
Right. It was early morning stimulation, but it was tough getting up that early and taking that long ride. And then coming back after you practice, you didn't have transportation. My father and my mother had to come all the way from Fairport and pick me up.
You are talking about a 20-minute ride pretty much there, I mean, from Fairport, because Fairport's a little bit away from even the 90s, right? The 490 and stuff. It's interesting because I come from a predominantly Irish Catholic family. Education a big deal. I went to a really small public school and took the test to get into Our Lady of Lourdes, which was down in Poughkeepsie. And I wanted to go there. I got in, and it came down to playing sports and my parents having to drive all the way back, but it was almost like a 45-minute ride in. So they're like, yeah, I don't think so.
Right. And
I can't blame them. I mean, I look at that and I go, I can't blame you, because it was a ride. It might have been an hour practically.
You got to remember, back then the city was populated. Xerox
Yes.
and Kodak were at its height.
Yeah.
I mean, there were 3 shifts.
Yep.
There was traffic. There was the can of worms.
Yes, there was.
Which for people to remember was a nightmare.
Yes.
And my father had to go through it every morning and every time we came back. And the traffic was rough at 5 o'clock, which was basically the time practice was over. 5.
Did you appreciate that then? I'm hearing you didn't, but you look back now and you appreciate it. Absolutely. I remember sending my kid to McQuaid, and when we were going through the entrance, taking the tour, and I think it was where they were basically saying you're accepted. One of the people saying to them, do you know how much your parents love you to give you this opportunity? And I think all too often as kids we're kind of like, yeah, all they're doing is chewing my ear, giving pain in my ass, this sort of thing. But when you look back now, that's a lot on your old man. However, maybe he missed a little bit of the time in the car. It wasn't as long as in Long Island, but it gave him, that's a nice time to decompress before you enter the house. I don't know how many kids were in the family.
Right. We had 4. My brother stayed down and went to CW Post.
Okay.
So it was 3 for us.
Yeah.
And my sisters went to Fairport. I lived right in back of Fairport High School. Everyone thought I would go to Fairport High School, but here comes the fork in the road, because my mother and father were so religious, especially my father was the decision maker.
Yeah.
He decided, you're not going to Fairport, even though they were very good in football, and that was our priority as far as me playing. and I could have walked there. He came up, scanned, asked fellow employees at Xerox, what's the Catholic education in this area, and found out about Carney and Mooney and McQuaid and Aquinas.
Yeah. And chose the car. But, I mean, that's a lot because it could have been just as easy to go, all right, Paul, I just walk to school. See you tomorrow. See you later. And you did just that. So that's a lot. And he wanted you to have the best opportunity. You played football there, but what else happened in the school? Because were any cases brought against Bishop Carney?
Right now, they're involved in the Diocese of Rochester, 472, I believe, plaintiffs in the case. It hasn't been settled yet, and it's been going on. I read a lot about it because it's been in the papers a lot. It's been on the internet a lot. There's a lot of articles about it. They even have a database of all the priests and all the brothers and the sisters who abused.
They do.
Yeah, you can look it up.
Are there sisters who abused as well?
Yeah.
Sexually abused?
Yes.
Really? How come that's never really mentioned at all? I'm going to move your mic real quick.
Okay.
Lift it up. But I don't think that's ever really talked about.
No, because obviously the numbers don't match up. I guess men, brothers, and priests are much more...
well, that's the sexier story, forgive the term.
Right.
But that is the thing that we say, well, look, you were hiding pedophiles. You were doing this sort of thing where I don't know if the sisters were young women themselves who decided to try this life of being a nun and then sees a 18-year-old. Here comes a strapping Paul who's running off the football field. And I have no idea. I mean, would that be more accurate, or were they actually bothering 8-year-old boys as well?
No, from what I know, and I don't. Again, I've read a lot, and I've talked to some. I still have my friends at Bishop Carney who were there, who went to the grammar schools, who moved through the Catholic system in Irondequoit, and a lot of them. You got to remember, you could live in Irondequoit and go to Aquinas. You could live in Irondequoit and go to McQuaid. You could live in it was, and Mooney was a big high school. Aquinas not as big, and McQuaid was a fairly big high school at the time. And at that time, the Catholic schools in sports, in football particularly, were the dominant schools in this area.
Yeah.
If you wanted to play top-notch football, you went to Aquinas because Aquinas built that stadium, Hollander Stadium. Their tradition goes back to the 40s. They had nationally ranked teams, and they couldn't.
So why didn't your father send you there?
That was the choice he made. I think it came down to Aquinas or Bishop Carney.
Yeah. So, because all these things that are brought against the Catholic Church, it is interesting, and it's interesting to see now. Do you still practice? Are you bitter against the Catholic Church at all? I don't.
No, I don't. I'm a Catholic. I was brought up Catholic. I sang. I went to school in Farmingdale. They had. I went to St. Killian's Grammar School, which had, believe it or not, one of the best boy choirs, not only in the United States, in the world. And
Really?
I sang with them for 4 years. I traveled into the city. We sang under Leonard Bernstein.
Wow.
At the Philharmonic, New York Philharmonic. I forget the name of the, it's not Radio City Music Hall, it's the other one. But anyway, we sang under the direction of Leonard Bernstein, and we made records. You can get all this information on the internet. We also traveled outside and gave concerts. We sang for a couple of television stations in New York. I think Channel 5 and Channel 11. We appeared. We were on television there.
So Pix and Fox. I don't know if it was Fox then, but it was Fox when I was a kid was Channel 5 out of New York, and then Pix was 11. But no bitterness against the Catholic Church? I mean, did you experience any of this kind of stuff?
No,
No.
I did the verbal and
Yeah.
the physical abuse. I did.
Yes.
And it seemed like everybody had an experience. I only spent 2 years there. Those guys were telling me, stay away from brother, whatever. Stay away from him, or he's a little strange. And then the kicker is I graduated, and 3 of the brothers, including the principal, Brother Tracy, and he's passed away, they married girls in my class.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So they left the being
They
priest.
left the brotherhood
Yeah, or
after
the
getting
brotherhood.
married, had families. Brother Tracy went to Geneva de Salles High School and was the principal, and then he passed away about 7 or 8 years ago. The other 2, I don't know where they went, but I know they were married, and they had relationships with girls in my class. It was well known. And then,
It was well known and not stopped.
well, that's the hypocrisy and the sad reality of the Catholic Church. They, instead of coming forward or confronting the brothers,
Yeah.
the priests, the nuns, all they did was protect them, and they transferred them out.
Yeah.
And that was the big move, getting transferred. That way they had a problem. Bishop Carney, they transferred them to New York City. They transferred them to Boston. They transferred them to Ohio. Wherever they had schools.
Yeah. Well, what would happen if you said anything to your family about that? I mean, did they buy into this too, or?
No, you have to go back to, you have to be old enough or go back to the mindset of the 60s, 70s, and the religious atmosphere. My parents, and not just my parents, anyone brought up Catholic believed that priests and brothers
Could do no wrong.
could do no wrong and were above reproach. And absolutely, if you had gone to them and said, I was abused physically, I was abused verbally, or the worst, sexually, they would have told you or painted it or slanted it that it was your problem. You must have done something. You must have said something. You must have provoked them. You must. It couldn't have been his fault or her fault.
I wonder how many people, when you say it like that, having an experience myself with sexual abuse as a child, it's odd when when you try to talk to your parents or confront your parents on that, and they don't necessarily react. Now, I didn't say anything at the time. I did much later. My parents have certainly talked about it, but with the priest, I wonder how many people are just so mad at their parents that they did nothing.
Absolutely. And I was around enough those 2 years to see physical abuse and verbal abuse, and then walked to my friend's house in Irondequoit, and him trying to tell his mother or father, whoever was home, that, I got grabbed. He pulled my hair. He ripped my shirt. He pushed me. He verbally called me a name. And I saw firsthand a parent's response, which was, oh, Steve, oh, Bob, oh, Dave, I'm not going to pursue this because you probably did something that got him angry.
That's got to be rough.
It is for those kids, and to see them now, and I see them. We have a reunion breakfast. We go. We have a lot of kids from a lot of men and women now, obviously, from my class who get together, and they now are bringing out the stories. Although it's really fascinating to see the different types of personalities. A lot of people deny it. They refuse to bring it up. They don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And that's in the past. That's in the past. Let's leave it. Whereas others say, why can't we discuss it? We all saw it, and we were all part of it, and it affects you for your entire life.
Yeah.
It's not something that an experience that happens and you forget about.
Yeah. Have you ever talked to your parents about it later in life?
Yeah, I told them it's funny. Many years later, after I graduated from Bishop Kearney, I told my father and what was going on, and the perspective had changed, because then we knew, you're talking about the 80s and the 90s, that abuse does happen.
Yes.
Abuse happens in the boardroom, the classroom. It happens in any position of power or any position of influence, whether it be men or women, when it's the strata is set up so that they're in that type of relationship.
Right. Wow. That's that's something. Well, then from there, you went on to play quarterback for Wyoming, which I don't think many people were familiar with until Josh Allen came out of Wyoming. But you played there, Division I at the time?
Yeah, it was. Wyoming has a really funny history. In the 60s, in the mid-60s to around 1970, they were a top program in Division I. They produced Vic Washington,
Okay.
who starred for the 49ers. Gene Huey, who played and was a defensive back and became the running backs coach for the Indianapolis Colts, and was there with Peyton Manning for a long time and retired. Conrad Dobler, who was an all-pro tackle for the Cardinals.
So they had a lot of
Jim Kick, who played on the Super Bowl Miami team, was from Wyoming. So they were I think they were ranked every year between 65 or 64 and 69.
Yeah. Now, what year did you go?
72.
72. And how many games were you a starter at some point in your career?
No, what happened was back then you couldn't play as a freshman varsity.
Right.
So I started as a freshman. We played a semi-schedule back then, which I call the Colorado teams, Air Force, University of Colorado, beautiful Boulder.
Yeah.
The most beautiful campus.
It is. I've been there.
And Colorado State. And then we played, who else did we play? I think we played New Mexico. And it was I think we played 5 or 6 games. That's it. My sophomore year, I was redshirted. My junior year, I was competing for the starting job, and I was hurt, but I played a little, and that was it. They fired Fritz Schirmer. Fritz Schirmer went on to become, I think he's either in the Hall of Fame or he's being nominated for the Hall of Fame as a defensive coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers when they won the Super Bowl under Favre. And he was a great defensive coach in college and recognized as one of the best during that time period when he was an assistant at Wyoming before he became the head coach, but he only lasted 72, 73, 74, the 3 years. 71, 72, 73, and 74.
So all of that, you don't go to play in the NFL after that, but was there at any point, were you interested in coaching? Was there a possibility of going into that? Because you certainly have a love for the game.
Yeah, I was. The problem I had, I was at the wrong time, at the wrong type of player at the wrong time. I was a drop-back quarterback. The wishbone was introduced in the late 60s. Arkansas played Texas for the national championship in '69. Richard Nixon, at the time, deemed that game the national championship game, which it should have been. Those were the 2 top teams.
Yeah.
But it was wishbone, wishbone, wishbone. When I got to Wyoming, everything was wishbone. 80% of all the Division I teams played the wishbone. Mm-hmm. We actually scrimmage teams before you started. It was the WAC back then. Arizona State, Wyoming, New Mexico, BYU. So even only BYU under Lavelle Edwards refused to use the wishbone and developed 5 straight NFL quarterbacks: Bosco, Jim McMahon, Gifford Nielsen.
Yeah.
I think, and I can't remember the other two, but he didn't use the wishbone. We used the wishbone. If you couldn't run and you weren't an excellent runner, you were relegated to throwing the ball. In some games, we threw the ball 8 times.
That's it?
Yeah, 10 times, 11 times, 12 times, and that was considered a lot. We used to watch the Oklahoma-Nebraska games, and Jack Mildren threw the ball 8 times in the big game, which was always Nebraska, Oklahoma.
Uh-huh.
And that was considered a lot. Back then, even if you weren't a wishbone team, if you threw the ball 20 times, wow, that was a lot. 24 times.
Yeah.
Today they throw the ball 40 times. It's nothing.
You're right.
So totally different game. Played totally, you've got 5 out now or 4 out. The field is spread. You've got receivers dominating the game with the quarterback. Back then, we ran the ball.
Yeah.
And we ran the ball 3/4 of the time.
So how much residual injuries do you have today? Huh?
I've got...
if you're running that much,
yeah,
you're getting hit.
Yeah, you're getting hit a lot. And running quarterbacks, which I wasn't a very good one, you've got to be... obviously, you have to be elusive, and you've got to be fast, which I wasn't, to run a wishbone effectively. Once you ride the fake on the fullback and you decide to pitch, you have the end, he comes at you or he stays, you pitch the ball or you keep the ball. You have to be able to accelerate through that hole and run, and that wasn't me. Jim Plunkett was playing at the time. He won the Heisman Trophy in '70. That's the guy I'm looking at him at Stanford. While I was at Wyoming, I didn't get there yet. I think he graduated when I got there. But he was the guy. There were still schools, especially on the West Coast, that were passing the ball, and some on the East Coast in Florida.
Yeah. Well, and from there, what do you do after you leave Wyoming?
I go to, it was chaos because all of us, and this goes to show you how things work out. On my freshman team, we had Lawrence Gaines, the #1 draft choice of the Detroit Lions in 1976. Mm-hmm. We had Aaron Kyle, the #1 draft choice of the Dallas Cowboys. Aaron Kyle played 10 or 11 years, won 2 Super Bowls with Dallas. And Lawrence Gaines was probably, for me, the best all-around athlete I ever played with. He went to Detroit, and in the first game he started, his first year, he wrecked his knee, and I think he lasted 1 year after that.
So, but what about you? What happens to you? These guys were obviously went on.
Okay.
Do you come back here?
Yeah, that was my father's choice. He talked to me into not transfer. I was going to stay. That would have been a mistake anyway. They brought in Freddie Akers, who was an assistant under Darrell Royal at Texas.
Okay.
And Texas was a huge wishbone team.
So
they were one of the inventors of the veer. He came into Wyoming and took Lawrence Gaines and Andy Dixon, who was a really good running back, and used that offense. And I would have still been in a wishbone offense.
So were you were looking to transfer?
Yeah, and then again, this is '74. It was hard to find a team that threw the ball.
Yeah. So you decide to what? Come back here and go to U of R?
No, I went to RIT. I went to RIT because Tom Coughlin, who was Super Bowl.
Yes, with the Giants.
Started the program there in '70 as a club football team.
Okay.
Then he left and went to Syracuse.
Yeah.
He was the assistant there. Then he went to Boston College and eventually the Giants. And Lou Spiotti became the head coach. My father knew Lou Spiotti, and that was the impetus for me.
So you did the transfer portal, but you were ahead of your time. Look at that. Well, too bad you can get the NIL deals.
No. Yeah, that was the funny thing is that back then, if you transferred down, you didn't have to sit out a year. So I transferred from a Division I school
to a Division
III school.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to sit out. Yeah. If it was 1-to-1,
you would have had to
sit out.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. And then after RIT, what happens to Mr. NFL?
Then I played semi-pro football here when they had the stadium, Hollander Stadium. I played for the Monroe Mustangs. I played for the Twin City Geminis in Buffalo.
Okay.
And we traveled. A very good league. It was called the Atlantic Semi-Pro Football League.
Did you get paid for this? I don't know what semi-pro means.
We got a few dollars. It wasn't really. It depended on the team and who the owner was,
right,
and where it was located, and the whole financial. From team to team, it was all different. But we played at Hollander, and I played in Hollander at Bishop. I always thought that was a big deal to play at Hollander,
sure,
because it was a beautiful stadium, and not too many high schools or any semi-pro teams could play there.
Yeah. So you go do that, and then when do you decide, I'm done. I'm done playing?
Yeah, by 30, I decided that it was over. I had gotten injured again. The league crumbled. The team went under the coach, who was Bill Breon. He owned a printing business here, and we folded. And then I knew that I decided, I did go on to coach. I coached at Eastridge in 79, 80, 81. We went to the sectionals had started in 77, and we went to the sectional championship in 79, and we had a very good team, and we lost 15-14 at Hollander to Aquinas.
Wow. So, and then after that, I mean, was there much coaching? I know you wrote a book about.
Yeah,
quarterback.
I've always, my brother and my brother played quarterback. His son played quarterback. It seems like in our family, there's a number of boys who played quarterback. So it was always been a big deal for us. And I coached there. My brother coached at Pop Warner. I helped him out at Bloomfield. Pop Warner, when he moved from Buffalo to Canandaigua. Canandaigua had a program, but he took his two sons and played in Bloomfield and coached there. And
then, so now here we are. And no family for you?
No, I never got married. I had my
Sounds like there's a story there.
Yeah, I was close twice, but for reasons unknown, it didn't work out. So I did not get married.
Yeah,
and I have a regret that I don't have a son that I could have coached.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can completely understand that with your love of the game and your knowledge of the game and stuff. And then you've become a sports fixture. So sometimes these sports shows, people get a little prickly, like the hosts and stuff. Have you been banned from any sports shows? Were you told you're not allowed to call anymore? Or I remember Weeze used to get mad at you.
Right, Weeze got mad at me many times. But I started listening to Weeze when he was overnight disc jockey in 85.
Yeah.
So I just was listening to him, and then he became a fixture on the radio, and I would call in, and then he did more sports, and he got people like John DiTullio, and they would, he would do sports in the Bills, and I would call in.
You would call in. Sometimes you get a long time on.
Yeah, it all depends on the topic and whether he thinks you actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you did. I mean, you did. And you called his sports show, and you called Matthews, and you called all the other sports shows, too. You should have had. Why didn't you try to get your own?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, how come you didn't do that?
Because I hated the button, and me and Bob Matthews many times had debates on different aspects of.
What do you mean he hated the button? What's the button?
Well, he would flush me if I said something that he felt was wrong. or he didn't believe in
I think you liked the challenge of trying to stay on as long as you could. I don't think you gave a shit about anything else. You didn't want to deal with all the other stuff, the business side of radio, so to speak, where you've got to answer to people and commercials and that sort of thing.
That's true.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's true. And then, and what did you do for a living? RIT. I mean, you went to I want to say a prestigious.
It is
school.
Now.
It really is.
Yeah, it's developed over the years since I've been there. It was like
What did you major in there?
Criminal justice and business.
Okay, so criminal justice is still really big. That's funny. My son is graduating, and he is what I call criminal justice on steroids, but it's cybersecurity, and RIT is one of the best at that.
Absolutely.
And then he's looking to go to grad school and eventually law school.
Good luck to him, and I think he took the right path because Mr. Golisano, again, poured money into the computer program, and it's named.
Oh, that's right.
The building is named the Tom Golisano.
It is, yes.
And the reason they jumped ahead was the money was right at the right time, and their gaming program is now
really impressive.
Their software production on gaming.
Yeah, Paul, that is impressive. That's impressive. And they have that. Do you ever go back to like Imagine RIT? It's something that they do where
once in a while.
That's a really cool thing that they do over there, and brilliant young minds.
Absolutely. RIT, MIT, and what's the one in California?
California Tech Institute. Is that what it is? The California Technical CIT. I'm not sure what it is.
Right. So those three have always, I think RIT's mission was to become MIT.
Yeah.
And they have, really.
Yeah. That's impressive. Well, what an interesting conversation with you. I always found you interesting. Sometimes we had to rush you along because you talk, but I think you didn't care. You never even seemed to get upset. They would say stupid shit or mean shit. You didn't even care. You kind of got the whole idea that it was entertainment.
Absolutely. I mean,
did you ever call FAN or anything as a kid? I don't know if FAN was around, but
no, FAN wasn't around.
Okay.
It didn't become popular until Francesa and the dog.
Yeah, Mad Dog. Yeah, they're both. I don't know if Francesa may still be on the radio, but I think Mad Dog's on satellite.
Yeah, late 80s. Yeah, I was already in my 30s.
Yeah.
But no, I was already here too. Yeah. And I lived in Albany, and I lived in Albany, and I lived in Florida
for a while. And then you came back here.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it has been I really enjoyed this. I did. Thank you.
It's funny.
What was the name of the book you wrote?
Oh, the Art of the Quarterback, the overhand release.
Okay.
That was it. And
still available? Like if you went on to Amazon Book?
No, it's not. And I kind of
you could put it into your own reprint.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that right now and looking at it, and obviously it's been more than 15 years.
Yeah.
And it needs to be updated.
Right.
And it needs to be revised.
Yeah, but if you tweaked it a little bit, right. I wonder if it would actually move.
Right.
Yeah, I'd love to see you sell a couple copies just to have something that you did, right? I mean, you poured a lot into that. That's a big piece of you. Well, let it benefit. Let other people see it.
Yeah, you know what that is? It's a lifelong conversation my brother and I had that started when my father decided to come outside when I was 6 and say, here, this is the way you throw a football, to my brother and to me, and say, practice and throw the ball back if you like it, if you want to do it. And then my brother and I started talking about, throwing the football, watching other players, Steve Spurrier, Joe Namath, Hadel, Lenny Dawson, Kenny Stabler.
Yeah, wow. Well, I have. I knew there was some depth there with Mr. NFL. Some real depth there over the years when you would call in. I'm thinking back to sometimes.
Well, thanks for having me on because, again, I've called into the show there, and I've called into other shows, and it's what I like doing. So
yeah, it is and I mean, and outside of football, what would be your favorite sport? I would assume NFL is your number one.
Yeah, college and professional football and college basketball.
College basketball is really interesting.
NBA and the Yankees. I grew up a big Yankees fan.
Yeah, I was. My grandfather was a New York City fireman. Used to take me to games a lot as a kid. Yankee Stadium. And one time we had to sit in the bleachers. We're above the dugout, and I was 8. And I knew Ron Guidry was down there warming up, and I just kept screaming his name until he finally looked up and goes, "What?" And I had nothing to say. Right. But you're trying to concentrate, and you're just a kid. I'm a kid, not realizing this is his job. He's trying to, it would be like some.
When you're that age, you think they have, their job is to.
I just wanted to say hi. He was the coolest guy.
Turn around, look at me, and acknowledge me.
Yes, that was it.
And it reminds me of I was 7 years old. My father took me to a Yankee game, and Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. And I walked in, and I was in awe when I finally came through the tunnel out to the field and took a look at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
It was the old Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
The original.
Yes, the original. I remember that too. The first time I saw that. Yes, I can see it just now in my head. Well, thank you for your time. And Mr. NFL, be looking for that book, The Art of the Quarterback. Should be available wherever you get books. I'm going to say within the year. It's a motivation. Got to get out there and do it, Paul. For Paul Adamo or Adamo. See, there you go. Mr. NFL, I'm Bill Moran. We'll see you tomorrow.
I turned the TV on, wrote a letter to you. The news was talking about a dragnet up on the interstate.
Leos, because it's spring break, everybody's home, and they're all going to be wanting to eat. So you know what you need to do? You need to get to Leo's and stock up on the to-go foods. Perfect for quick and easy meals. Just grab. Because everybody's kind of all over the place. Some people are waking up a little later. That way, you just grab and have it. Maybe a homemade quiche, perfect for breakfast, right? Chicken pot pie, nice lunch. Shepherd's pie, spaghetti meatballs, turkey dinner, chicken parm, so much more. You can have that for dinner, but you've got them all, and then nobody's complaining. Pre-packed and ready for you to grab and go for your next meal. It's all there at Leo's. Plus, remember, fresh baked $2 French bread and Italian bread all day, every day. What's the best thing about Leo's? Everything. On Despatch Drive in East Rochester, open every day.